I want to give you a few tips on making the best of this course. First of all, familiarize yourself with keyboard shortcuts. We're going to be using a lot of tools in this course, including a text editor and even the frameworks themselves. And one thing that has stuck with me throughout my time as a developer are the keyboard shortcuts. You'll see me use them over and over again. Your productivity as a web developer is of the utmost importance, and keyboard shortcuts will really shave down your time in writing programs. Second, code both during and also after the videos. So write the code, follow along as I write the code, and even after the videos, go back and review and write comments about things that you want to remember and remind yourself of further down the line. Commenting your code is an especially great way to remember the information. Finally, continue learning even after the course and even after watching the videos. After you watch one set of videos, try putting what you've learned into practice by creating your own miniature apps. For example, after we cover lists, try to create your own grocery list or to-do list. This is a great way to make sure that your skills stay up to date. Now let's talk a little bit about what a website really is. When I go to google.com, I see a page and it says google.com with a little bit of a configuration at the very end here. We don't really need this. We can delete it and we'll still be able to get to google.com. Now I can change this URL and go to google.com/about. And it takes me to a separate page. It turns out that the structure of a website is very similar to the structure of files and folders on our computer. When I open up Finder, for Windows users, Finder would be the equivalent of the Windows File Explorer. And when you open up your File Explorer or Finder, you can click on various folders and find a particular file that you want. Think of each folder as a path that's added on to the main URL. Then when we go to the About page, we're going into a folder where the About page is hosted. When we click on See All Stories, it takes us to About/Stories. So now there's a Stories folder inside of the About folder, and now we're inside the Stories folder. And that has a different page. We can click on one of these stories, and then it takes us to, wait a minute, About/Main. So the Stories folder redirects to the About/Main folder, and inside the main folder, there's probably a separate folder, or maybe even a file, called Google Supports Equal Justice Initiative. So if a website is just like a folder, then one page on a website must be a file. This is called an HTML file, and we can create one by opening up a text editor. I'm going to use a very simple text editor that comes installed on a Mac called TextEdit. For Windows users, you should use Notepad. Note that a text editor is different from a word processor because a text editor allows you to freely select what kind of file you want. Right now it says untitled, but when I save it, it'll allow me to format it with different file extensions. When developers or programmers are often starting out, they test to make sure that a program works by typing in hello world. Since we're going to be opening this up inside a web browser, we're going to edit this a little bit and say hello web browser. Then inside our text editor, we're going to save this file and make sure that it has the extension .html. You can call this file anything you want. We can call it hello world.html. Make sure that it has the .html extension. When we press save, it'll show up on the desktop, and we can open this in our browser, and then we see hello web browser. Getting started with HTML really is that easy, but doing it right takes a little bit more effort. And before we get into how to do it the right way, we're going to need some more powerful tools, specifically a more powerful text editor. If you're feeling like challenging yourself, you can continue to use TextEdit or Notepad, but there are a few better tools out there to help us get the job done, which we'll get into in the next video.